And the picks up the phone and starts calling the cops, right? So I cut the phone cord. That's the second time I've done that. I remember having wasted a lot of my life in the search for getting stoned. I wasn't really like a freaking fanatical stoner until I hooked up with the Stoggs guy, which I've talked about. Totally past high school, obviously. Now I'm in my early 20s. There's this other guy that was a hella popular dude in high school, and the Stoggs guy was a hella popular guy in high school, and they both got drug habits, and they both turned into like the biggest, just like this dude got some fat, this other dude, I don't remember, this other dude, not Stoggs, the other guy, he got some just like so unattractive lady pregnant, and then had a kid, and then just like turned into like this just abusive, like just, it's so weird to see somebody and have this whole image of them like, wow, that person's cool and they really have a cool life, and boy, you know, everybody likes them and all this, right? And then to see them, like one of the hottest chicks I went to high school with, like literally saw her in the hot dog on a stick place where they have to wear those crazy colorful outfits, and she wasn't looking that good, and this is like, you know, not long after high school. And so this guy, yeah, Craig, I might as well just use his name. Craig, he just turned into, I mean, I've seen this a few times. I've watched people's physique and just mental and everything just deteriorate. And I've seen this like a couple times with the physical, and then another time with the mental with friends. So these, you know, and what it is these guys that are smoking and hard alcohol and probably even hard drugging maybe, but they just never drink water, and they just kind of shrivel up into some kind of dehydrated. So this guy Craig, yeah, him and his huge fat wife person, or baby's mama, and the baby, and like maybe even another baby, just such a situation like that that guy and his, I mean, he got into hard drugs. He had a great life, whole life up with hard drugs, ended up in public housing beating on some welfare for baby's mama. What a dude. So before that though, we would just spend hours, you know, like walking from wherever to wherever. And a lot of it was this place, I'm just gonna start using names. This dude, this house, it was so weird. It was like all these people knew each other forever, and then I was kind of hanging out with this Skoggs guy, and they had all been into like hard drugs or something, and all like quit or something or whatever, they got in trouble or whatever, I don't know, before all this. But then they were just all heavy stoners, right? So we'd get to this guy's house to buy weed, and you'd be sitting there, and other people would show up, and you know, somebody'd want to pool the money. I mean, just literally the amount of human energy that was wasted during the drug. We're still in the middle of the drug war. So anyway, this one dude, this Dennis guy, was kind of a frequent guy, and he had this house that I swear there was never even any parents there. there was kids, and there was like, he was like maybe the youngest of a bunch of brothers, and the older the brothers got, the more like crazy and strung out they were. They'd like try to sell you a refrigerator when you're just hanging out. And it was a weird like dope house kind of situation going on. And they love the knifers. That was their thing, knifers. I'll never forget the time that the guy had the burn on his lip from the knifer. You know what a knifer is? Where you have a stove and butter knives on the stove, heating up to red hot, and then you push them on a bud, and you push the bud, and it just vaporizes. And it's like probably the most like, or one of the most like efficient, well, back then, a way to like use all the weed and not freaking waste any, because you just put this little bit on there and it would just completely disintegrate between the red hot knives. So yeah, they were, you know, and there was hard drugs, not a lot though. They were mainly stoners. The older brothers were into all kinds of crazy, and boy, I'm telling you, that house, it was just, it was white trash personified. I mean, it pretty much didn't get to be any more white trash than that place. You know, everybody was just there for one reason: to get stoned, or other, maybe if they could find it. I never forget this one chick that I met there, and she's like, oh, I just want, just if I could just have 3 lines of cocaine a day, that would just be great. Like, that was her whole thing. If she just could have 3 lines of cocaine a day, that would make her life perfect. And yeah, I just don't see doing daily cocaine as being like, a good way to do your life. Holy shit. Doing cocaine every single day? Okay. Anyway, so this is the type of person, this is why the mother of the Stoggs went to my mother the first time she ever dropped him off. It was like, don't let your son hang out with my son, right? My mother should have listened, but at that point, like, I think I already said that I wasn't listening to my mom much. She took the car away from me, and when she took the car away from me, I punched the keys through the wall and dropped them in the wall. And she slapped me, I slapped her back. So I don't think my mother was in any kind of ability to determine who I did and didn't hang out with. And honestly, the mother saying that probably made me want to hang out with him more. Like, oh, this is gonna be fun. So yeah, like, his dad was that legendary alcoholic and had all these like apartments that, like, there's an apartment over here and a house over there, and you know, he could, and so Stoggs would just have this ghetto ass apartment that he could have and be at, you know, no problem. His dad wouldn't be there. He would just have it. It was weird. I don't even know the situation really. It's something to do with rich parents. So I decided to do one of these things where I just kind of go through every instance I can remember. So, because I really don't consider myself a criminal, I'm going to just tell my stories of interactions with the police. That's much better. So, the first one I can ever remember is when I was 8. I think I was 8. And my grandpa shot my dad. I've already told that story. And I talked to the detectives. And I remember asking them if I was going to have to testify in court. I think I knew about court from Perry Mason. And they're like, no. Blah, 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 something age. The next time I can remember, my little brother's bicycle was stolen. And me and a couple other kids that lived on the houseboat mortgage, we kind of went looking for it, and I think we found it, and then like the police were called or something. I don't remember the details too much, but what I do remember is my interaction with the cop. And I remember that cop's name, Schaefer. And he was the Selwood cop. And he was there forever. I think that was a Portland police thing. They would stick cops into areas and make... That's fine if the cop's a nice guy, but this guy was a... So at least the instances that I had with the guy, he was a... Well, I mean, we were looking for my little brother's stolen bike, and he jumped down my throat over jumped down my neck, or whatever the term is. Whatever, honestly, it was something like, it's like, they stole the bike and get the bike, or something like this, and he went off on me. And he was like, who are you? And like he should know me because he's the cop, and, it was just... So that was like the first instance I ever had with cops on So then the next instance of cops would be when I got arrested, and I think I told that story. I had like a reaction to the ADD, ASD, HDAD, whatever, drugs, speed. I mean, isn't that what that is? Ritalin, not speed. And I told that story too. Hit the chair with a knife. Everything was over. On the way to school, here comes a couple cops, just all like steroided out or whatever, just, and like we're just walking up the ramp, and the cops are like, blah, 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 blah. And like, it was, I think the charge was menacing or something. So it was just my mom's parent, and she's thinking, fell for this. Drugs are the answer to parenting, and I've explained my theory on ADHD and how it's created by the school system, waking kids up early, sticking them in these classrooms. Too many kids. It's all designed to give kids these, because they don't want uber smart, creative, free-thinking individuals, because they question everything. Yeah. Well, they tried to make me a drone, but it didn't work. Then I remember sometime I used to do a lot of sneaking out late at night. I don't know why I was a night owl. Sneaking out, hiding from cops. The cops come to get us because we're underage and we're out doing whatever. So that would have been like 14 maybe. After that, I'm going to have to say there was that instance where I was out partying on cocaine. I did tell the story. So this is the one about the car and getting arrested. They'd called out the National Guard to help with the roundup of all these kids that were just out at night cruising. And that was just my mom had to just come pick me up from the jail. So there was no charges associated with that. Spring break when I was 18. Me and Stoggs jumped on the commuting bus that went out to the coast. And we went out there for spring break. I had a pocket full of money, and I don't remember how we got booze, but it wasn't hard. I think what we did was I think we rented a room in this Shiloh, and I've never rented another Shiloh Inn since, because after that I learned that different hotels have different policies, and the Shiloh's policy was a policy. So, Shiloh Inns. I discovered Red Lion Inns were the ones that were the quality, that wouldn't with you and kick you out of your room. Oh yeah. So we just like ordered room service, and then I had fake ID. That's right. Oh boy, the fake ID. There was this, God, I don't know what kind of place it was in downtown Portland, but they would take your picture and put whatever information on that picture that you wrote down in the little box, right? So I had the first one of these, I got it at like 16, and I freaking get this fake ID. I'm hanging out with this buddy of mine that we had hung out for a bunch, and a couple gang member dudes, a couple black dudes that were Crip gang, I think, and they were blue, and my coat was red just because but the inside was blue. So I turned my coat inside out to be a blue guy for the day. And it was like, I swear I was even thinking this at the time, that I was like, just like, what's up with freaking black gang dudes? Like, what do they do? Like, what's going on, right? And so I got the fake ID, and then I go into this store, downtown Plaid Pantry, and I try to buy booze, and they carded me, and they took the ID away, and they threw it under the counter, and I had put all my real information on it. They just took it away and threw it away, and I literally go, give me that back. And so I start coming around the corner to go and behind the counter and grab my ID from under the counter where he threw it, and picks up the phone and starts calling the cops, right? So I cut the phone cord. That's the second time I've done that. I cut the phone cord so he couldn't call the cops. I tried to get my ID back. I went back behind the counter. I was digging through there. Couldn't find it. And I ran out of the store. And I ran out of the store, and I went over to the side of the store where all these dudes I was hanging out with were hanging out. And I just kind of went over there, and like, we just kind of hang there for like a few minutes, and I'm like trying to explain to him, like, I just blah blah blah, Yeah, stupid ass kid